I live next to a very big seaside town, which is not safe at night because of migrants, because they're attacking the locals. And that's not on. It shouldn't be like that.
Okay, Rob, I mean, if you could tell me the name of the town, we could have a look at that.
Weymouth.
Okay, so you're saying Weymouth, people are being attacked at night by,
yes, they are.
Illegal migrants.
Especially the local women, and that's not fair.
And they're targeting women, are they? And that
just
so I'm clear,
just local people.
Okay, so
they hang around and they make people intimidated.
Okay, Rob, I'm just going to pause there and turn to Daryl. The reality is that what we talk about when we talk about cost of living and finding that overlap in the middle, what that does.
Well, there you go. This is GB News Originals. I'm Emily Carver. Please do give this video a like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. And do leave a comment. Let me know what you think.
Doesn't cover is cultural change. And what Rob is talking about is so much a part of people's feeling about immigration is that the places where they grew up, that they call home, have changed beyond recognition. Do you think what Rob's talking about there, that's what it's describing?
Well, there's a lot in that. And I think, look, I think it is true to say, yes, that immigration has changed the country, and it has done over many, many decades. I think that we have to push back against this idea that's always a bad thing. I think that we have to push back against what is often an intolerance of somebody that looks and seems different to us. I think we have to be honest about it. I think we're honest about that. What Rob has engaged with there, I think, are tropes. You are no more likely to commit crime if you are an illegal migrant or a migrant than you are if you are a British-born resident of the United Kingdom. If people are feeling unsafe because somebody who doesn't look like them is in their community, then I think that's a conversation that we have to have as a community. Why is that happening? Why are people being made to believe that they are less safe because somebody in their community has come from somewhere else or looks different to them? I think we have to stop tiptoeing around this now. I think we have to start to call that out.
Does that come down to statistics? I'll just say that we checked out what Rob said. Just in that little bit of time that we had, there is an incident of a migrant attack. That person was convicted and jailed subsequently. Are you saying it's about how much weight we give those incidents and whether we can put them in context of other crimes that happen which aren't related to migrants?
Completely. People are going to commit crime, right? Absolutely. British-born people are going to commit crime. People who've come from abroad are going to commit crime. The question is, are you more likely to be the victim of crime from somebody who has arrived in the country as an immigrant illegally or otherwise? And you are not. You are simply not. You are not more likely to commit a crime if you are an immigrant, illegal or otherwise.
The people would definitely say cost of living, but I would actually say what you have to look at as a politician is what you can actually influence. And whatever he does on the cost of living, it will be dwarfed by what happens in the Straits of Hormuz, petrol prices, and what's going to happen to electricity prices next time the price cap's looked at in September. So as a politician, I would look at the things I could influence more. And in this case, I think, he can't do anything about the Strait of Hormuz, Trump, Iran, all of the things that are really, really causing huge cost of living crisis. But what he could do more about is the immigration situation, which is not an easy thing to solve. I don't think I would pretend it was. We tried many things and got stuck in the courts many times. But still, no one else is going to come along and solve that one, whereas he's uniquely in a position to solve that one, whereas President Trump is actually mostly in control and the Iranian regime of what happens in the Straits of Hormuz.
I mean, you talk about Rwanda. Is that when you say the attempts that you were part of to try and stop this terrible trade in people across the Channel?
Yeah. That was one of the things. There were several things tried.
There were the other things that could be done now which are not being tried. You think that's not a quick fix, but a quicker result than maybe some of the stuff that's associated to cost of living? Well,
put it this way, no one else is going to do that. No one else is going to solve that for us. It is a British problem that our Prime Minister will need to solve. You have to look at more things to do. I mean, Rwanda, when it first came up as a scheme, there was a lot of people who were against it. It was very novel, but we'd actually run out of a lot of other options. And now they're looking at, do we need to change the legal situation? Do we need to leave the ECHR? Whatever it is, politicians need to explore it, because we are a huge magnet and organised crime has facilitated a huge problem. And we are one of the more popular countries for people to come to. largely because of our economy, well, typically because of our economy, and also because of the ability to work in our economy, even if you don't have the right papers, etc.
You knew about HMO Britain. You talked about that in that speech to your supporters. Last week we featured children in the village of Piddington. They've written to you personally. One called Rex Perkin, 7, says there's a new migrants camp being set up nearby. It will overwhelm the hamlet. He says, we like our village. We walk down to see my sister's grave. It will change. I've been here for 100 years. He loves the playing field. Thanks, Andy. What do you say to people like Rex, 7 years old, who sees his village changing irreparably because you're bringing in migrants to live in their area?
Well, I've begun to become aware of the campaign from Piddington, and I absolutely am prepared to
meet Rex.
I will listen to what people are saying and respond to the concerns that they are putting forward. I don't know the issue yet in detail, but in some ways, as I understand it, it is about creating secure space and not have the HMO issues that you were talking about earlier. It's obviously going to be challenging, but I am prepared always to listen to people, to work with people and to pick up legitimate concerns, and I will address those concerns. I do have to say, we cannot have a situation where it's only the poorest communities in the country that receive, all of the dispersal of refugees and asylum seekers. I do believe all parts of the country need to work to play their part. It's a challenging issue. We're working at it. We understand people's concerns, and I will look into the issues raised by the good people of Piddington.
Andy Burnham, thank you.
Britain Underneath exposes the unknown reality of British politics today. Welcome back to Britain Underneath, where we pull back the heavy curtains of Westminster to examine the friction points shaping our nation. Today we are looking at a conversation that took place live on television, a moment that perfectly captures the deep divide in how British politicians, media commentary, and everyday citizens view safety culture and the law. If you value sharp, unvarnished breakdowns of UK politics and current affairs, consider subscribing right now to Britain Underneath so you never miss our analysis. Let us delve straight into the heart of this controversy. When a caller from the South Coast rang into a broadcast studio recently to express worry about public safety in seaside towns, he raised an issue that millions of Britons reflect on daily. The caller spoke about feeling intimidated in his local community, citing specific instances where women were allegedly targeted by individuals living in temporary migrant housing. The initial reaction from the studio panel was telling. Instead of immediately validating the residents' concerns or addressing the immediate security context, the conversation shifted toward abstract sociological terms. A panelist insisted that, statistically, a person is no more likely to commit a crime regardless of whether they are a native citizen or a recent arrival. This response highlights a fundamental disconnect that has plagued British political discourse for years. On one side, you have citizens dealing with the physical realities of rapid neighbourhood transformation, visible shifts in social cohesion, and acute worries about neighbourhood safety. On the other side, you have commentators operating from high-level statistical frameworks, reminding everyone that criminality exists across every demographic. Both points can contain elements of truth, yet when politicians and analysts dismiss local anxieties as merely intolerance or tropes, they create a dangerous vacuum. If you appreciate grounded discussions on British policy and societal shifts, take a moment to click that subscribe button below and join our growing community here at Britain Underneath. Staying informed requires looking past headline soundbites and examining the real structures governing our daily lives. The core of this debate rests on how we measure safety and trust within our towns. When a community undergoes rapid demographic change without clear infrastructure or integration strategies, the impact is felt instantly on the high street. For many residents, it is not simply about what someone looks like or where they were born. It is about shared standards of public conduct, accountability, and the implicit contract that keeps civil society functioning smoothly. When local people report feeling uneasy after dark, telling them that their perception is merely a social misconception often feels patronising. Furthermore, when specific incidents occur, as was confirmed during that very broadcast, where an individual was tried and convicted by British courts, downplaying those events does little to rebuild public confidence. While it is entirely proper for legal systems to judge individuals rather than entire groups, state policy must also recognise that public trust is fragile. When local infrastructure feels overwhelmed, whether it is healthcare, public facilities, or law enforcement presence, the strain manifests as widespread anxiety. To really understand what is happening across the United Kingdom today, we have to examine the policy decisions of successive governments. For over 2 decades, leadership in London has promised tighter border controls, improved processing systems, and balanced regional support. Yet year after year, the operational reality on the ground tells a very different story. Facilities are stretched, municipal budgets are strained, and local councils are left to manage complex social integration challenges with minimal guidance. As we continue through this analysis, take a breath and reflect on how these policies affect your own area. If you find these insights valuable, please consider subscribing to Britain Underneath. Your support helps us produce more content that dives deep into the issues that matter most to our country. It is also vital to talk about the concept of per capita statistics versus absolute figures. While overall crime totals are influenced by total population numbers, regional communities react to localised frequencies and high-profile events. When a small coastal community experiences an unexpected influx of any population without corresponding investments in local policing and support services, the probability of friction increases significantly. Ignoring these administrative oversights while lecturing residents on community tolerance only worsens the political divide. The ongoing media debate often forces people into binary camps. Either you fully embrace rapid, unmanaged change without question, or you are categorised as resistant to progress. But British standard civic life has historically thrived on nuanced balance and reasonable boundaries. It is entirely valid for citizens to demand that national migration policies align with local capacity, fairness, and strict adherence to the rule of law. A robust state must be able to enforce its policies clearly while offering dignity to everyone involved. Consider the strain on public services across our towns. When emergency services, healthcare providers, and local housing authorities operate at maximum capacity, any additional burden affects every resident, regardless of background. Politicians often talk about economic growth and demographic needs in abstract terms, but the daily reality is lived in waiting rooms, traffic congestion, and changing high streets. When political commentary fails to acknowledge these practical pressures, it creates a feeling among the public that their day-to-day experiences are being swept under the rug. If you have stayed with us to this point in the video, thank you for your time and dedication to understanding these complex issues. Staying informed requires patience and a willingness to look beneath the surface. Please take a second to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can continue following our detailed political breakdowns. Looking ahead, the challenge for British leadership is clear. Rebuilding public confidence requires moving away from dismissive commentary and toward actionable, practical solutions. It means ensuring that law enforcement is visible and responsive in every town across the nation. It means establishing transparent, fair, and efficient procedures for processing arrivals, while maintaining absolute clarity on public safety standards. Most importantly, it requires political leaders to listen to the legitimate concerns of everyday citizens with respect rather than judgment. The health of our democracy depends on open, honest conversations, where hard questions can be asked without fear of immediate dismissal. When citizens feel heard, they are far more likely to engage constructively in building strong, cohesive communities. When they feel ignored, the gap between the electorate and the governing class only continues to widen. Thank you for spending time with us today on Britain Underneath. Please take a breath, stay informed, and consider subscribing to the channel right now to support our work and stay updated on every critical breakdown we publish. We look forward to welcoming you back for our next video as we continue to explore the forces shaping the United Kingdom.